looks like we got a lot of students coming in. All right. Um, Welcome to the Graduate Real Estate Development Open House. My name is Michael Costanza. I'm the Director of Admissions for the School of Architecture. We've got a great program here for you. We have our incoming director, John Rene. He's going to give a presentation of the program and all its details. And then we have a faculty member, Joy Willig, and then we have Kyle Goggins, who is an alumni of the program and also a professor in the program now. And then we'll end with a question and answer session. So really excited about the presentation we got here. Without further ado, John, why don't you go ahead and share your presentation?
Hi, everybody. It's nice to meet with you today. Let me go ahead and share this screen here. Okay, can everybody see that? Okay. Joy, can
Yes,
you see
looks
my
great.
screen? Okay. Okay, great. All right. Well, welcome. I'm not sure if I should be sitting on this side of the camera presenting to you guys, or if I should be sitting on your side and watching along, because I'm going to be brand new coming into this program as the new director of the real estate development program at Tulane, which includes an undergrad program and then the Master of Sustainable Real Estate Development program, which is why I think you're here. And so, first and foremost, right now I feel like I'm a little bit like a broadcaster on a radio where you can, or a TV where you can all see me, but I, don't yet have any information about you all. So I want to kind of get to know each and every one of you, and have that kind of personal, intimate conversation, right? Because that's ultimately why why you want to go and do a master's degree, is to kind of work closely with the faculty in the program. And in our program, like I said, my name's John Rennie, and I will be starting this January in just a couple of months from now. And oops, do I not have my video on? Sorry about that. I don't know why my video went off. Apologize for that. I will be coming into the program in January in a couple of months, and I will be also working with John Huppy. John is with the cohort of current students right now on a field trip in Las Vegas, and they're actually there to have fun. Of course, everyone goes to Vegas to have fun, but they're also there to learn. They're at the Urban Land Institute fall meeting. And so John has been with the program. He was originally a student in the program, and he's been, a professor in the program now for a while, and he knows the program very intimately, and I'm learning a lot about it because, like I said, I'm kind of new. But I have a long history with New Orleans. I actually first moved to New Orleans in 2005. I did my PhD in urban and regional planning. I did some real estate training at NYU. I did a master's in urban planning and a bachelor's of urban design at the University of Colorado. So I've sat in your shoes. Like I said, and I'm actually right now, I'm a master's student right now, working part-time on a master's degree in artificial intelligence. And so I know what it's like to be, a student and the things that are going through your mind, because I'm balancing being a student with having a job, right? We have a number of adjunct faculty who are, leading real estate professionals who teach in our program. We have full-time faculty, including Fallon, Samuel Zadu, Will Bradshaw, Jesse Keenan, and Daniello Rivero. One of the things that I think that you need to consider when looking at any program, whether you come to Tulane or where you go to anywhere else, is kind of the partnerships that that you will make uh, through the program, right? Our program has partnerships with lots of established leading real estate development firms. And this is just kind of a small fraction of that list. And then, of course, both with we have our students work. They do directed research and internships with these different, whether they're companies, nonprofits, or even public sector agencies. Tulane has an incredible network around the country. And so I grew up in New York, about an hour north of New York City. I've lived in Colorado. I've lived in New Orleans. I've lived in South Florida. And everywhere I go, there are Tulane alumni working in real estate. Real estate is a program at Tulane, which is relatively new, although we've been around for well over a decade. But before that, a lot of folks did their studies in the business school, and we have a partnership with the business school. But a lot of the Tulane alumni, who are working in the highest levels of real estate, they have gone through Tulane in some form or fashion. A good friend of mine used to work for Boston Properties in Boston. Now he works as the developer for Imtimco. That's the MIT development company. So it's the real estate arm of MIT. And he's a Tulane alum. And there's people like him in all over the country. In fact, last year I went to the Tulane alumni game um, at uh, at Florida Atlantic University, which is where I'm kind of wrapping up my 10 years of my career, and the Tulane section was just massively large, and there are so many Tulane graduates working, in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach, and so the point that I'm trying to make is that when you look at our program, right, you ultimately ask yourself the question, what is it? What do I want to get out of it? What is my goal for my career? And I think that the faculty in the program, the alumni in the program, and the partnerships that that program has is so very important ultimately to building your career, not just when you graduate and you're looking for your first job, but as you continue to progress throughout your entire career, you will hold on to those connections and those relationships that you build. And that is so important. So let's jump into the academics a little bit. Um, the program is a 1 year degree program. So you knock out your master's degree with full time studies literally in 12 months. You start at the beginning of the summer and you take these classes: Intro to Real Estate Finance and Economics, Intro to Sustainable Architecture, Intro to Real Estate Finance Products, Intro to Sustainable Urbanism, and then an urban field study. So where we go to another city, we meet folks, we do tours. Then in the fall, you will take the classes here on legal issues, sustainable design and planning, finance, and then you'll pick an elective. Then in the spring, you take applied urban economics, advanced sustainable real estate, directed research, and then another elective. Right? You get your 40 credits, and you're done. You've got your master's in 1 year. There's been over 200 students that have graduated from the program, representing over 42 different states and countries. A very diverse educational backgrounds and work experience. Here you can kind of see the word cloud and different kind of connections that people are working related. The program, students in the program share interests in the concept of sustainable development. Sustainable development is about promoting environmental stewardship, economic development, and social impact. So it's very important. I actually went all the way to the other side of the world, to Perth, Australia, to do a postdoc in 2004 with a leader in sustainable development. And my wife did her master's actually in sustainable development as well. So we could chat more about that, but it's kind of an important hallmark of the Tulane program, which makes it unique and made me very excited to kind of want to come and lead the program. Um, Job titles for alumni: project manager, financial analyst, development associate, project manager, assistant project manager, associate, founder and CEO, CFO, owner, vice president, principal, development analyst. So you can kind of see the major job titles there. I suspect that this will change a bit as you know, because the first cohort of students went through the program in 2000, starting in 2012. So really only about 11 years ago. So as a lot of the alumni kind of get more and more advanced into their career, I would predict that in the future you're going to see that these job titles are going to become a little bit more focused on, CEOs, CFOs, partners, things like that. Um, what do the alumni do? The alumni work in new construction, rehab, affordable housing, commercial, hospitality, tax credits, new market tax credits, low income housing tax credits. So, you name it, working in various different aspects of the commercial real estate industry. Now, I had a meeting the other day, and I used someone used the word commercial real estate, and they said, "Well, what about apartments and residential?" And so when we say commercial real estate, we include apartments and residential. What's typically not included in the word commercial real estate is um, is single family housing units, right? Now, if you build single family housing, right, you could be a developer to build single family housing, but pretty much if you own a apartment building, you own commercial real estate. If you own an office building, you own a hotel, you also own commercial real estate. But I just wanted to point that out because it's not intuitive and not everybody necessarily knows that. Um, Locally in New Orleans, you know, alumni work for different public sector agencies like the New Orleans Sewage and Water Board, Entergy, um, folks working for private groups like Ruby Slipper Restaurant Group, which has been, expanding and building new restaurants, folks working internationally, working with the Conservation Fund, with leading consulting groups like Booz Allen, and technology groups like Backflip. So, there's a lot of different directions that you could go in. Here's some images of some of the alumni work. I think one of the best things about a career in real estate development, which is very different from kind of the world that I've come out of in urban planning, is that you could go to a place, you can go to a site and see the fruits of your labor. You can literally watch a building that you have worked on. You may have even kind of conceived that very idea and had a important, fingerprint on the design of it, certainly the financing, the approvals, the construction side of it. And then, one day you can go there and be proud that you've made a positive difference and actually see that, see that. And then that's something that's really, really kind of neat. Um, you know, Doing a master's in any program is an investment. Okay. And why is it an investment? Well, first of all, I mean, it's proven that by taking on a master's degree over a bachelor's degree, you will add significant career earnings to your lifetime potential. How much is that career earnings? Well, they say on average, it tends to be about $1 million more during your career. I think probably in real estate it would be a bit higher, in all honesty. Um, we do have grants available and scholarships available and internships available. There's also financial aid that's also available, and we could talk with you all more directly about all of these different opportunities. Um, and I'm going to kind of get into the finance a little bit more, but the requirements is an application form, your transcript from your undergrad, a resume, a personal statement, two letters of recommendation or a written report of interview with two industry professionals, and a TOEFL exam and online interview for non-English speaking students, non-native English speaking students. Um, the key dates is, that we have an early admission deadline of December 1st. The regular application deadline is January 15th. That all sounds like it's far away, but before you know it, we're approaching Halloween this week, and we're going to be into November, by Friday. So it's coming up pretty quickly. And if you have questions, we're here to help you. That's our job. That's what we want to encourage you to kind of get through these applications. By April 15th, admission decisions will be sent out. We'll have a spring graduate open house in late March, and then the commitment deposits are due in mid-April. Because remember, the program starts at the beginning of the summer semester, which is in May. So you'll be beginning this program in May. If you have questions, I've got John and Michael's email address here, and so I'm also happy to share with you my contact information. But John and Michael know a lot more than I do about a lot of the details, so we can get into some of that here on the call here. But the last thing I kind of wanted to talk about, I guess there was a slide in an earlier version. I guess it didn't get into this one. Is about that investment that you're considering making. Now, you know, it's not inexpensive to go to graduate school. It's not just the money that you have to pay for tuition, but the opportunity cost of your time. And so, as an individual who have seen the benefits of graduate education on my own career, I can tell you from firsthand knowledge and experience that it's worth it. And it's worth it to go to the best program that you could get into. Okay. Um, you know, it has to be a great fit for you. Let me stop sharing my screen so I might be able to see a little more clearly. It has to be a great fit for you, right? But if you apply to our program, and you apply to Harvard, and you get into programs at Johns Hopkins or Berkeley, that's great. I mean, we want you to be successful, right? Um, if you're looking at the decision between, say, our program and a public university, which may be a little bit more affordable, I can tell you in some regards that there are some great public universities out there, but there are some important benefits that I tried to touch on earlier about why it makes sense to invest in coming to Tulane. You're going to be working with incredibly bright people. Our faculty and our alumni are not just working in New Orleans, they're working across the country. And so when you get that degree and you get that first job, you're going to get some experience, but you're not going to understand the true value of your degree probably until at least 5 or 10 years out. And that's when you're going to be networking with other Tulane alumni and your former professors at Tulane, and they're going to help you kind of take those subsequent steps in your career to get those subsequent promotions. It's not just about getting that first job, it's about getting your second job, your third job, right? And maybe you might need to move to a new city one day for whatever reason in your life, right? You're going to tap into that network to find a good job. So what I want to do is to take a moment and to introduce two folks who are affiliated with our program. We'll start with Joy. I'll let her introduce herself and what she does, and then we'll go over to Kyle from Joy. So thank you so much, and I look forward to really kind of getting to know each and every single one of you. I will put my cell phone number in the chat and tell you if you have any questions you want to talk to me, feel free to call me or text me. And I don't actually have a Tulane email address yet, but I'll put my Gmail account. I get a lot of Gmail messages, so sometimes not always the best because they get so many junk mail, it gets hidden. So that's why I'm giving you my cell phone. I would prefer that you text me or call me, but I will also give you my cell phone. And I look forward to speaking with each and every one of you at some point soon. So Joy, thank you.
Hi, all. I can't see you, but hopefully you can all see me. Um, my name is Joy Willig. I am an attorney, retired attorney. I spent more than 20 years as a real estate, housing finance, mixed-use attorney in the public sector in New York City and New York State. I came to New Orleans for a short-term project with the Housing Authority after I retired from the government, and was recruited to teach in what was then a new real estate program. So I've been teaching about 12 or 13 years. When I came to New Orleans, among the things that I continue to teach, I've continued to do some legal consulting and affordable housing consulting. And I've also become involved in what Tulane has it's a faculty, a whole department that does exclusively faculty development. So teaching faculty how to be better teachers, providing tools and resources specifically for teaching, and also has a fabulous tech unit that teaches us how to use new tools, including how to use AI effectively, all kinds of interesting learning opportunities for me as a teacher. And while I have lots of experience and knowledge of the law, I am always continuing to learn about how best to communicate and teach students. We typically have cohorts of between 12 and 20 students. Since I teach the required legal issues class, you will all have an opportunity to join my class, and I expect and hope that it is, despite the fact that it's required, it's also a popular course. I learn as much every year. I learn as much from the students' perspectives. Our students are international, intergenerational. We do a class in fair housing where I ask the students to describe the communities they come from, and they are as diverse as the number of students that we have. In my class, my focus is student-centered, which means I require the students to do a fair amount of reading on their own, some technical reading about vocabulary and basic concepts, and to use the classroom as a space for providing examples, explaining, getting deeper and answering questions and discussion. And because the cohorts are so small, even when we've had 20, we had, I think 23 people the year we had to do it on Zoom. Ironically, I think that was our biggest cohort. But we've had wonderful, robust conversations and discussions that dig into the law and legal issues. It's a legal issues class. It's not, you're not going to walk out, being able to do any specific legal work, but hopefully you'll have an analytical framework and understand the role of a lawyer and your relationship to those lawyers. Again, very much based in discussions and personal experiences. Every year, some student has some great example of what I'm talking about, like a river running through their property or a tree house that they're that was one of my favorites, a tree house that their father built on the neighbor's property. But all kinds of issues. And so the discussion revolves around your own experiences. I love teaching, and I love meeting, hopefully many of you. I don't have too much more to present, but I will hang out um, and be here for specific questions you have. I will turn it over to Kyle, who was in my class, was an A student, and has gone on to do great things. And Kyle was one student who always had some good questions, always provoked me to think about things in a different way. I often have students who I make certain statements about things and they challenge me about, well, in my community, they don't do it this way, or in China, they do it a different way. And that's always wonderful. So Kyle, take it away.
Awesome. Thanks, Joy. Good morning or good afternoon to all of you, depending on where you are. As Joy mentioned, my name is Kyle Goggins. I am a 2018 MSRED graduate of the program. I also have the privilege this year of teaching on the faculty. So I teach the fall Business of Real Estate Development elective course, which is the course that focuses on real estate development project management. And I think part of my background and my experience with the program is a bit unique because I have been involved in so many different facets, but I really wanted to take a moment to just share with you guys a little bit about my experience as a student. So I'm originally from the Boston area, and I came here specifically to relocate to come to Tulane, and I stayed. So I still live here in New Orleans. I'm currently project manager for a company called Fresenius Medical Care. So we build and operate dialysis clinics throughout the United States. And so I provide regional project leadership there. And I've done a number of different kinds of projects, including residential tax credit projects and also commercial projects in the restaurant space and now in the medical industry. And so I've got a pretty diverse kind of set of experiences professionally. And I knew that I wanted to become a project manager. I knew that I wanted to get into real estate development, but I didn't have a business background. I was a liberal arts major. I studied political science. I'd never taken a finance course. And frankly, I was a little worried about whether I would be prepared to do that work. But I knew that this program would give me a comprehensive, solid understanding of how to evaluate a project financially, how to think about it from a market standpoint, how to think about the environmental and social impact. And so when I was thinking about where to go to school, a big part of the draw for me was what city I wanted to be in, where I thought I might want to stay, where I thought I might want to work, and whether the curriculum and the program felt like a really good fit for me. And when I looked at all of those measures, there were a number of schools out there that had really impressive programs. But I actually ended up deciding to just apply to one school, which was Tulane. And fortunately, I got in. And, to John's point, this was a financial investment for me, but it has paid off tremendously, both in terms of just, the financial compensation that I'm able to accomplish now after having received the master's degree and with a number of years of experience under my belt, but also just in terms of being able to participate in an industry that I frankly didn't have professional experience in, and didn't really have a good way to segue into. And so this program for me, I knew would need to be an opportunity for me to make a big pivot. I was actually working in the legal field before I came here. I was a paralegal and a case manager at a large law firm. And I was thinking originally that I would become an attorney, and eventually discovered that I had a real passion for real estate development. And so when I came here, I was laser focused on how it was that I would make that career pivot. One of the opportunities that you will have as a student is to participate in an internship, a sponsored internship called a gig. And I remember asking the program director at the time when I was a student, or when I was a prospective student, how many people uh, started off in a gig internship and then moved that into a full-time position. And the answer back then, I think the answer still now, is it's generally pretty rare. But I had a thought that maybe I could do that, and I guess luck would have it, I ended up getting placed with a really great company called the Barge Board LLC. They also go by the Giselson Group. They are a residential real estate development company here in New Orleans. And it was certainly my first choice in terms of all of the options that were available for internships. And it taught me a tremendous amount. The interesting opportunity there was they really needed help on the project management side. And so even though I came in as an intern, I was able to kind of raise my hand and volunteer to take on more opportunity, more responsibility. And that internship eventually evolved into a part-time role where I was invited to come back for a second semester, which is pretty rare. The internship is generally designed to be a one semester opportunity, but they wanted to invite me back and offered to sponsor the internship themselves for the second semester. And so I came back as a part-time project manager. And then when I graduated, I was able to come on with that company as a full-time project manager, leading their residential real estate development portfolio. And I stayed there for a few years before moving on to some commercial work. But that was a great set of opportunities for me that I would have honestly never expected. And it really gave me a unique perspective at the time, because I was taking my classes, finishing my master's degree, but I was also applying all of this new knowledge that I had just kind of gotten under my belt, immediately applying that in the industry on real projects with real budgets and real timelines. And so it was a little bit like drinking from a fire hose, but it was a great experience. And I'd mention that because a lot of this program's value add, in my view, is that you're going to get in my view, a good balance between a theoretical understanding of real estate development and also a very practice oriented degree that teaches you not just the concepts or how to think about a project or how to analyze a market, but also all of the industry partners that you're going to need to be involved with, and the processes, and how it is that this entire industry is carried out, and how these projects within it are successfully completed. And so it was a great opportunity for me to get my feet wet in an industry I knew nothing about, but I knew I really would be interested in. And it's helped me tremendously to take on leadership as I've moved throughout my career, and to build on the knowledge that I that I got while I was in the program. The last thing I'll quickly mention is, um, as part of the program, you do have an opportunity to complete a directed research um, project, which is essentially like a senior thesis, or a master's thesis, I should say. Usually, you do that in partnership with some kind of an agency or some developer in New Orleans. And that was a great experience for me. It helped to kind of build my network even further. And it also helped me to understand what some of the challenges are here locally in terms of funding development, in terms of making sustainable adaptive reuse projects and green infrastructure initiatives more affordable and achievable for local residents. And so I can talk a little bit more about what exactly that research entailed, but it was a real opportunity for me to um, provide some insight to a local organization that didn't have the capacity to do the research, but really wanted to investigate how it was they could expand their program offerings. And I was able to do that while I was here as well. So I'll stop there. The last thing I'll say is we are a little bit limited on time, but I encourage all of you, as you reach out and talk with others, certainly feel free to reach out to me. As I mentioned, I'm teaching in the program. I'm here in New Orleans. You can email me. My email is kgoggins@tulane.edu. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have for me as a student or as an alum or even as a professor in the program. I am an unapologetic cheerleader for this program. It's really transformed my career in really meaningful ways, and I really care about extending opportunities for people to learn about it and decide for themselves whether it's the right fit. And so I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Kyle. Go ahead and drop your email in the chat for us if you can. Um, and right now, what we'll do is we'll move into a series of questions and answers. So I see a couple in the chat in the question answer feature already. So let me just answer a few that I can answer because they're admissions questions. So do most students receive some type of funding? The answer to that is yes, all students are automatically applying for merit scholarships. And so we look at your statement of interest, your transcripts, all materials on the application before we uh, give out a merit scholarship. And it usually ranges from about 25% to 50% of the tuition cost. In addition to that, we also have the gigs internship, which will is a small scholarship as well, and that's in the fall semester. And there's also opportunities for student loans and financial aid. So a couple different ways that you can fund your program here. Talking about admissions deadline. So if you apply December 1st, that's our early admission or early admission deadline. That just means if you apply early, you'll get a decision early. So we usually send decisions for that in mid-December. And then the regular application deadline is January 15th, and decisions for that go out in mid-February. So which one's better? Either one that you want to apply to, there's no special consideration if you apply early. There's no additional scholarships. It's simply, do you want to receive a decision early? If so, apply early. Let's see here. Okay, so I'll send this to the group here. So a question about outcomes. Does this program include licensure, as in real estate licensure? Or does it help a student pursue that avenue? And then I'll add on to it as well. What are some career outcomes that alumni have gone on to?
So let me just take the licensure question. So there really is the licensure in real estate is to be a broker, and so this program is really not about real estate brokerage. This is more about developing real estate. So it's kind of conceiving the idea, building a team to be able to execute it, financing it, right, understanding the laws and the zoning to get it approved, right? And then, kind of taking it from approval into, the construction. We're not a construction management program, but we do address things like architecture and buildings and all that sort of thing. So from that perspective, there really is no licensure to be a real estate developer. The only licenses that you would get in real estate would be more if you want to be a real estate broker. And a lot of the folks that go through this program do become licensed real estate brokers, and they take the knowledge that they've gained from this program to pursue that. But that is not necessarily the direct outcome of what you're being trained to do in this particular degree program.
That's great. Yeah. And maybe Kyle, do you know maybe some of the other positions that we touched on a little bit, but is there a couple other jobs that students pursue after they graduate?
Yeah, I would say a number of students, myself included, end up as project managers, really development project managers. So, as John was mentioning, really responsible for the kind of full life cycle of a real estate development, picking an initial idea, the market, the financials, and more specifically on analyst roles. So a number of people have been become financial analysts. There are people who become program managers, sometimes in nonprofits. Often people will progress through their careers and they'll be promoted to director. There are a number of people who are doing their own projects as owners. And then in my cohort specifically, there were a number of joint degree students who were either in the joint Master of Architecture or Preservation Studies. And some of those students are either practicing architecture or preservation studies. Some of them have more of a hybrid role. So there really is a broad range of the kinds of roles, but I would say the two most typical that you hear of are analyst and project manager, at least initially in people's careers, and then they kind of take their own path from there.
So I just want to add, we've had a few students who've gone on to law school. They take the practical experience and have gone to law school and then focus on real estate from that angle. And I also want to emphasize that project manager and analyst is a very broad job title, but it is the kind of job that folks with a master's degree with a little bit of basic knowledge can step into right away. And it really, I think the reason you see so many in that role is it's an entree into all kinds of, when you're a project manager, you're the hub, you're the person that has to collect the legal documents and has to organize the closing and call the construction manager. So as a project manager, it's a wonderful hub to make the connections throughout the web of the industry. And so I think again, since the program has only been going a little more than 10 years, and I'd say most people do project management for 3 to 5 years. That's why you're seeing so many of those titles, but it is really an entry level. And what kinds of projects you're managing is also, you might start in a small not-for-profit in New Orleans and end up at a project manager at the related companies in New York, for example.
Awesome. Thank you. We only have about time for one more question. So this question is, can you share a bit about the experience of part-time students? I'll go ahead and take that. This program is designed to be a one-year curriculum, summer, fall, spring. But there are situations where students want to work a full-time job. They live in the city, and they still want to be a part of the program. We have worked with students in the past of doing a 2-year part-time option. And so if that's something that you're looking at and you want to consider, feel free to contact us. We have all of our contact information in the chat. So feel free to contact us. We'll be willing to hear your situation and work with you. It does require flexibility from your job and from us, and we will work with students on that. So yeah, so if that is something you're interested in, let us know. With that, we'll go ahead and conclude. We'll go ahead and conclude our open house. We want to thank everyone for coming here. And if you have any questions, feel free to follow up with us. Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks. Take care, everyone.